here. Coming into this one, we've had back and forth games, 2-2, of course, and it's been a series that's lived and died by the top laners. Huni getting the most recent advantages here.
Yeah, Gangplank got pretty fed, scales pretty well, I heard. Triple Infernal didn't hurt, did over 1,000 damage per minute. Absolutely massive in this game.
Yeah, the damage share of 42.5% of the team's
insane.
damage. That is actually insane. Normally when somebody is like popping off in a game, it's like, oh, 33%, they did really well.
Yeah.
Like, no, 42%, absolutely crazy. I expect there to be a lot of top lane focus in the picks and bans right now. See if they can secure a priority, but also maybe a counter pick.
I was going to say, I think the question on a lot of people's minds was last game, where was the Gnar? And now I think that's the answer that Immortals is thinking too. Hey, they may go back to the Gnar that they had a lot of success with, and taking that off the table is one of the adaptations Immortals has made. And they have been quick to make a lot of adaptations in this pick and ban.
And we'll see, of course, first pick Gangplank might be the order of the day. You've got other important champions like Taliyah and Rek'Sai, but we'll see what ends up being Tahm Kench, another one on the table. Vladimir, the fact that Immortals is banning it as the first pick team says they've got their eyes on bigger fish here, and yep, that's going to be gone, but it does mean Taliyah is up. It meant that they were able to pinch mid laners a little bit.
And although Taliyah has not been the star in either of the games it's been seen in, it's actually both of Immortals' wins, right? Is Pobelter on Taliyah, and this is a champion that is traditionally firm banned out.
I think it gives him a lot of pressure in lane, and it also, if you've been noticing how they synergize it with things like a pick, if a cocoon lands and then he is able to actually combo his E and W, it's so much damage across that member, and it just sets it up so beautifully.
Also, just speaking of the wave clear this champion has, he can push people in so heavily, and one of Jensen's greatest strengths is his laning phase. You can negate a lot of that simply by just shoving in the waves non-stop. You don't actually have to deal with this back and forth and let him get these slow edges.
It's going to be the goal here for Pobelter, who hopes to allow more room for his own team to make the plays. Ash the hover right now for C9. Tahm Kench, I think, also going to be very, very likely here. Ash perceived to be better than Jhin, and Tahm Kench has just been a high priority champion. It does give any jungler they want over back to the blue side, but it means C9 have their bot lane.
It's what I was expecting them to do last game, and to Zyreen's point, it did force the Ashe on the other side, and Ashe arrows were pretty ineffective because of the Tahm Kench, but I guess they just did not feel like they were getting enough out of their AD carry.
Hey,
consistent damage. Wow.
Unusual choice to make here, but actually putting in the Lissandra.
That's a top lane Lissandra for
as a
Huni.
takeaway. And it's a blind pick top lane Lissandra as well. Certainly Gnar would have been one of the good matchups into it as a tank, and that's not going to be a possibility here.
Echo is still available. It's something that Impact has
Trundle too.
prioritized, and Trundle, I think, matches up very well into Lissandra. You can actually just start to get to the point where you're just too darn tanky for Lissandra to really hurt you anymore. We'll see what the decision is going to be, and I think they will be selecting their top laner in this round because they almost always leave Jensen's pick for last.
I mean, almost all the lanes are visible, and there's no more lanes to contest. Like, Immortals have grabbed their two solos and their jungler, and C9's just grabbed their bot lane. So there's no counter picking that's up in the air anymore. The lanes are visible. They're all known now. It's just make your comp work based on what you think they're going to go for. And they will, in fact, go for the Echo matchup. The Gragas in there as well, and the immediate lock. And yeah, there's the Trundle that we thought maybe could have been important here, but Adrian gets it for himself.
Yep, I think you pinched that pool a little bit, but it doesn't matter. The Echo is already locked in. The Jhin Trundle matchup allows that curtain call to land pretty much guaranteed on that first shot, and then you just combo them together afterwards.
One thing to the points made on the analyst test, though, Mark is talking about get Huni on a champion that scales well in all stages of the game, that can really take over in that way, and I don't see Lissandra in that manner. And although Lissandra is an explosive team fighter, it's not the guy that just dominates 1v1 and hard carries the team fights. You're the initiator, but then you need the assistance of the rest of your team.
Yeah, it feels a lot like the Kennen where you want to get a good flank, you want to get right in the middle of the enemy team, and you have to survive by some means, but it's a really risky composition here for Immortals, and Cloud9 look like they have a lot of answers here too. The Syndra can wave clear up against the Taliyah and have a lot of kill pressure on her, but then at the same time, the Lissandra, you're up against the Tahm Kench.
Yeah, I actually think I like C9's composition a lot more in this one. It's really well-rounded. I think that they scale well into the later stages of the game with both Ashe and the Syndra. And it's going to be a lot about picks, almost entirely about picks for Immortals. I feel like they must get the advantages in these flanks. They must get ahead and find these proper team fights because for C9, I think they're much more comfortable taking a traditional 5v5.
Yeah, and C9, they're just going back to what they know, whereas Immortals, it's still a little bit of team fighting here and there, But you think back to the big hiccup for them in spring was their draft. They kept going for weird top lane champions, and they didn't adapt between games. They've adapted between games in what they've picked and the style that they've chosen. But in Game 5 here, they lay it all on the table, and this is what they have, is a very snowball-oriented comp. You have to win early, you have to run over this team, or you have to get backline picks.
Well, that's going to be the goal then for these squads. And Immortals, known as an aggressive, fast-paced team. They are the highest combined kills and deaths per minute team in the North America. They're going to hope to play another hard and fast style with an early advantage. And now we need to see who is going to be our first North American LCS finalist for 2016 Summer Split. It's your last time to vote for your teams. Hashtag IMT win, hashtag C9 win. The people in the crowd are ready to go, and so are we for Game 5 of the semifinals.
It's been back and forth. It's been a hard-fought series for both teams, but right out of the gate, it looks like Cloud9 have a slight edge for their style.
And then we get the sepia tone.
And the wind out of the sails.
Good thing I yelled all excitedly about this game starting. Now we get to wait a little bit.
It was a hard act to follow. That's why I just like
Yeah.
a little bit silence.
Let it breathe.
Let us all balance back out. And would you believe it? Audio issue is the story right now for Adrian. If this were last week in Europe, see you guys Tuesday. Hopefully not the case. That would be...
It's too soon, freak.
Guys,
it's too soon.
It's caster curse. If I say it, it won't happen. That's how this works. I mean, just imagine, last week when they're like, "Oh, we'll be ready soon." Yeah, 3 days. So, I that's the goal here. I assume it'll be sorted out without too much issue. It worked the other 4 days here, and I know we do have backups in the system. A chance they're very high. We'll get the game back underway pretty soon, but
very likely not going to be an issue. But
yeah,
I do think that although it's been the story of the series, top lane, right?
Yes.
This is once again going to be so much focus on the top lane. It's one of these matchups where, Lissandra, you're poking the guy out, you're queuing him, and you're being so annoying. But if your opponent gets ahead, if they start getting kills on you and they get tanky enough to the point where they actually don't care about harass anymore, they just run at you. They just chase you down. And Echo is someone that's very good at doing that. Yes, Lissandra has self-peel, but it gets really bad if you start falling behind.
And the thing is, the build lines up so well for impact. His lane matchup, great. I'm against ability power. I love Spirit Visage. What a great item. That item's amazing. Great. Merc Treads sounds like another good Echo item for me, and that's going to be great against Huni. And then you look at Immortals' damage output, and it's like, well, tank jungle who builds Thunder Hulk. You've got Pobelter on a mage in the mid lane, and Wild Turtle, not the best frontline killer in a Jhin. That damage output is just not the same. You could just deal with it just with a health pool. Impact's item build, I think, will be very easy for him. I think we expect to see a very obvious locket come out of Meteos or Smoothie very early on in this game, and it will be easy to withstand, I think, a lot of this mage damage from Immortals.
Yeah, from a very just kind of textbook, standard look at these compositions type of approach, Cloud9 have a superior composition by almost all metrics, right? It's if Immortals have a lot of pressure from Reignover and they're able to pick up early kills in Snowball, and they have ways to just make it a nightmare for Sneaky and Jensen to actually do anything in this game, especially since Jensen does not have cleanse.
Yeah, and it's also about roaming. It's about playmaking, right? Lissandra, get level 6, early TP bot. Pobelter joins in as well. He hits level 6. Weaver's Wall, join down there. You can easily have a 5v2 in those sort of situations. You can set that up, and that's how they can look to get those fights. It's a composition. They're not going into this saying, "Oh yeah, okay guys, let's play it nice and safe, and we'll go to 5v5 and we'll fight them real fair."
Immortals never plays that way.
Exactly. They're looking to get odd man fights, and they have the composition to get it.
So our ETA right now, by the way, is 2 minutes is what I'm told. Wild Turtle has left the game. He'll be rejoining soon, and we should be good to go. As he gets himself set up, and they'll type R in all chat, and he'll be ready to go. That should be fine, but it's about how scrappy they can be, right? It's about Immortals coming in and saying, yeah, that's nice, you theoretically outscale, and your 5v5 is theoretically really good, but it's not about, the theoretical battle lines here. It's about how you play the game, and traditionally, Immortals have been such a good team at playing proactively, of being scrappy, of getting these individual situations to happen, to get into the backline, to pick these people off, and if they can outplay Smoothie and get the pickoffs, then good for them. If they can separate the rest of the team and get the tanks away from the backliners, those things are going to fall. And they have the tools to do that, right? If you have to play frontline, you can have Trundle ult someone, remove the stats, make him easier to kill. You've got the Jhin ult for the pickoff. You've got Lissandra flank for the pickoff. You've got Weaver's Wall from Talia to separate the teams and make sure these situations can happen. And that's going to be on them to do this, to make sure these situations do happen. As you can see, Turtle still conversing with the referee, saying, here's what I'm hearing, this is what's in the headphones. Unfortunately, 2 minutes may be going to be a slight underestimation here, but I think we are not too far away from this.
In this game, it's got to be a bit nerve-wracking for the players.
Sure.
You get right in, you're ready to go, and then you're going to be kind of stressing about it sometimes a little bit. It's game 5, so much on the line. We heard Turtle talking about how important it is to go and play in his hometown, play in Canada, play at the Air Canada Center is massive for any Canadian. I think that's something that I can really relate to. And, you know, for C9, these guys, it's been a while since they've really been kind of top of the pile, and they're looking to make their mark on it. And guys like Jensen, this new era of Cloud9 players, it was all about high and the championships that they had led him to. And Jensen wants to make his mark on this dynasty.
And he has yet to do so, has not been in the finals yet for the North American LCS. And they've kind of rebuilt the squad. There's only 2 members from the original Cloud9 on this team. And there was a lot of criticism at first, like, okay, you're breaking up this squad that, you know, went to Worlds last split or last year. And, you know, they actually won like all of their games in the first half. You know, and then there's 0-9 afterwards, but still.
Tiebreaker, never forget.
Yeah, can't be Cloud 0-9. Gotta go 10.
Yep. That was the great joke that I remember Crepo brought out. He's like, you know, and North America's 0-8 so far, but will we see 9? And yep, they delivered and then went one beyond. We saw 10. We saw 10 losses from North America in the last week. And this is also kind of the story as well. If we look farther forward, you know, can Cloud9 make yet another trip to the World Championship? They went in 2013, they went in 2014, they went in 2015. They're hoping to go in 2016. And even if they lose here, they've got the chance, though it's of course very hard. Hoping to continue to be a top team and, you know, continue to look very good as a North American squad and get revenge for North America doing so poorly at Worlds last year. We've had a split now where everyone's so excited for TSM and this Immortals squad on the stage right now as these incredibly good-looking teams. C9 also playing now up to this level means there's even more to be excited for as a North American fan as you figure out which 3 teams are even going to Worlds.
Yeah, and Immortals want to be one of those teams because you think about the organization coming in, Immortals were created for the sole reason to be champions of North America and to make it to Worlds. They came in, dominated, had the most dominating split we had ever seen from a team in spring. 17-1, still hold the record for highest game win percentage in a split for North America, but then they failed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They are one game away from that happening again.
Yeah, and we'll see if it's going to be a long road or a short one for them. Sadly for us, we do have a few more minutes of this delay, so we're going to be still pausing on stage. But while we get that sorted out, let's hand it off to Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much, Freak. Yes, unfortunately, we do have a slight technical issue. Sounds like some audio issues for Wild Turtle. So while we get that sorted out, because we want a good Game 5, we get an opportunity to talk a little bit about it. So we were asking, what are the adjustments these teams are going to make going into Game 5? Luckily for us, we've at least seen Champion Select, so we can dive right into that. Things that jump out, of course, is that Taliyah first pick yet again for Pobelter. So putting a lot of priority onto that. The Ashe Tahm Kench, though, pick up for C9 means that there won't be any way to easily, you know, remove someone from that Ashe arrow.
Yeah, I think in general, I just like C9's draft as a whole. I think it's very good because the big thing is Syndra. I was talking with Golden Glue actually about Syndra a little bit when he was, you know, backstage before this all started, and I thought it was a really strong pick. And I was like asking why we didn't see it more. And his thing was that there's a lot of global threats like a GP ult, an Ashe arrow, all these things that scare in a mobile mid like Syndra throughout the whole game. Right. You don't want to have to take cleanse and all this stuff, but when you have the Ashe on your side and the Tahm Kench on your side who can pull you out of these kind of situations, it's just opens up the pick a whole lot. We've seen what Jensen can do with the pick.
And what I'm looking here for Immortals' side is the fact that while their composition is probably weaker in a 5v5 death ball scenario, which is what Cloud9 wants it to get to, in the laning phase, they are significantly stronger because they have so much room to make plays. You have Lissandra who can just shove the lane early and roam towards mid lane. You put pressure on that immobile Lissandra. And then with a comp like this into the early show of Ashe Tahm Kench, it's so easy to just put all your effort into the bot lane. You go with a little wall behind them and immediately you have Lissandra TP and you have such an opportunity to just shut down an immobile bot lane. So while Tahm Kench may be able to save Ashe, you really can't escape a 5-man to the bot lane, which is I think what they're trying to go for, just avoiding the pressure from Huni and just making sure that they can impact mid and bottom and win that way.
I do think the thing that is a little weird is the actual like order of the draft. We were talking about going Lissandra on that second rotation as Immortals when you haven't seen the other team's top. You can maybe hold it. It is a little weird, but we were saying that maybe they don't want to give C9 the Lissandra again, given that they played it into the Taliyah.
Right, it's strange. I mean, the only justification I can come up is exactly that.
Right.
They wanted to take it away from Jensen before he had the opportunity to pick it into Taliyah as he had in the prior game. That being said, the Lissandra pick didn't necessarily end up being all that successful. I mean, he did have some good plays on it, but it wasn't like, oh my goodness, Talia hard counter in Lissandra. So it still feels a little odd that they would want to take it away from him that much that they're willing to take it blind in the top lane.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. Because it was like Talia was pushing Lissandra in the whole game. There were a couple of TP flanks or engages that went fine with the Lissandra, but it didn't seem to be a source of concern. And I think, opening the Lissandra up to that counter pick was maybe scary. We have seen a little bit of Aurelia from Impact, and that's a matchup that a lot of people like.
Right.
Well, I mean, I haven't found that in this series counter picks have been really that big of a deal. In fact, it's mostly about the actual team play. I mean, even when we see lanes fall behind horrendously, for the most part, they find ways to come back into the game.
Right.
So just being able to show your lanes and say, maybe we just want this pick right now, guarantee that we have it, take no risk whatsoever, is usually a good way in the best of 5, because by the time it gets to this point, what you wrote down as your plan is pretty much thrown out the window. It's all about, what do you want to play? And they say, oh, I want Lissandra.
Yeah.
Okay, give me Lissandra right now. I don't care. And usually that's the way that these games get.
I think the other really big thing to note here, and we haven't touched on yet, is the fact that Impact is back on Echo. So his probably poorest performing champion so far in this series is the one that he's returning to in Game 5 in order to try and make it to the finals. So the big question here is, will he step up and have the kind of performances that he was having on the GP and the NAR here in Game 5 on Echo? Or is Huni going to have, kind of a run over lane here, having a much more aggressive laning champion than GP this time around?
I think what's actually going to be more impactful is the Talia. We didn't really see that many big Talia ults in the previous game out of Pobelter, but this is potentially one where they're going to go really hard onto this Echo. But Echo is a little slippery, so if Impact can continue absorbing this kind of pressure he's been doing all playoffs long, it could work out well for them.
If I had to guess what Immortals is looking to do here, it would be nearly identical to their plan from Game 1, in which they just invaded Meteos nonstop. They kept such a strong hold on his pathing that they're able to pretty much predict wherever he was going at all times. And they slipped up one time, which Meteos capitalized on beautifully. But if they can keep that up, I mean, the compositions are relatively similar, because you have Talia, Trundle, Jhin, and then you have a strong early game jungler in the Rex and Lee, very similar. And then you have a matchup top that can just push and invade early on very well, strong level 6. So as long as they keep doing that plan, and they don't give Meteos that window to slip in and get a gank going off, I think that they'll be able to get that early game advantage, transition into objectives, and hopefully close out a game with an early game composition that will get outscaled.
That's a very good point. I have a hard time imagining a situation where Jensen ever has priority in the mid lane in a Syndra versus Talia matchup. So that means that Pobelter is going to very easily assist Reignover anytime he wants to walk into Meteos' jungle.
I mean, I'm not 100% certain on that matchup, but I will say generally if Syndra ever gets ahead, it's kind of devastating in that sense. So I feel like if Meteos can make an early play around the mid lane, you can really sidetrack the plan that Immortals is going for, because once the Syndra, like let's say you pick up a kill, you push in a wave, and you come back and you're ahead of the Talia like that, you get the 6 early, I think you can really kind of control this whole game around the mid lane.
I just don't see him being able to get in that early. If Pobelter does the exact same thing where he just pushes the first wave, goes to Raptor, sees where Gragas is at, then Reignover goes invade, sees where he's at, and they can keep an eye on him, as long as they can keep that vision and roaming. The only window that was realistic for Meteos in the first game was that 7-minute gank. If they're not,
he went over the wall.
Yeah, he went over a wall, which was, he was playing Rexus, so it's a little bit harder or easier to pull that off, as opposed to the Gragas that you have to usually wait for that slam cooldown. So I think that if they can do that properly, they should be fine, because while the matchup, we're not too certain how it would go. That's obviously other, like Golden Glue and Alex's forte, if you will, then I think this will be better.
Now, before we push ahead and continue talking, just a quick update. We are swapping computers for Wild Turtle, so it'll be a few more minutes doing an entire PC swap for them to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So we have a few more minutes to discuss. We've talked about the laning prowess here of Immortals with the composition that they've built, and coupled with their style and the way they've played most of these early games, being very much on the offensive. For Cloud9, it's another case of, can we weather the storm, right? Can we get Ashe to a 3, 4, 5 items, position? Can we get Echo to a place where he can safely split push against the likes of a Lissandra in that 2, 3, 4 item kind of position?
I think it's a bit of a stretch for C9. I know I initially said that I favored them. It's so close though. They have like a much better standard comp in the sense where they have like basically triple tank, who are also able to initiate plays and really do a decent amount of damage. But the thing you're so scared of is Immortals being that brawly snowball team.
I was going to say, I think maybe it's an important distinction to make that if we consider all things equal, in a 5v5 setting, right? Everyone's got 3 items. You probably give it to Cloud9's composition, right? All things equal. The point, though, of the Immortals composition is to make sure that things are never equal, right? We're going to get ahead early, and we need to stay ahead so that this, beautifully crafted 5v5 team fight is never going to actually get to its most powerful state.
Well, I think they gave themselves the best tools to actually dispose of the mid lane and the bottom lane, because realistically, what summoners do you take as Syndra here? If you take Cleanse, you're going to lose the mid lane. It's useless against the Rex and Taliyah. If you take Ghost, it's really not going to be that useful towards the ganks from Lissandra. So you most likely have to stick with maybe a Cleanse or play the laning phase extremely safe, which gives such a room for Pobelter. And in the matchup of Huni, I expect him to take a similar approach to how he played the Kennen lane, which even though he lost, he could take that advantage and use that to roam. And as long as Lissandra's constantly roaming mid lane, it puts so much pressure onto Jensen that he can't really push at all, and it makes the roam towards bot lane just so much more efficient.
If they do manage to get out of laning phase, though, we need to keep an eye on Smoothie, because having that Tom Kenster to save them from all this threat and this dive and the pickoffs from Jhin, Lissandra, Taliyah.
It's a game where you QSS Tom Kench. I think it is.
It may be.
Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. In terms of summoner spell choice for the Syndra, he went with the Ghost. So Flash Ghost is the pickup there, looking for just more mobility, maybe, prepping and planning for all of the visits that will be made to the mid lane, knowing that, okay, at least I got to have 2 defensive summoners to be ready for all of that. We bring up the idea of the Tom Kench and safety from picks. Well, this Ashe, it's going to be the first time that we see Sneaky on it in this best of series. He's been playing the Sabres, been playing the Jins. Those are off the table for him this time around. I'm very curious to see how he performs on the Ashe in contrast to the way that Wild Turtle's been playing it in the past couple games.
I mean, we know he has a good Ashe. We've seen him play it a number of times, and the only concern is what's going to happen, because it's like this thing where you have so many engaged tools, like a Jhin can start slowing you, a Taliyah walls you off, the Lissandra has a TP flank. There's so many ways for them to start this fight on Immortals' side. And it's really about, is C9 grouped up and ready for it? Because if they can disengage and peel, I think, we've said that their team comp's most likely going to come out on top. But it is a lot of pressure that they're going to be under. And I don't know if Tom Kench Ashe, as much as that is a pretty strong lane, can deal if there's like a 5-man play that comes bottom because Impact lost his TP early or something.
Now, let's talk about the global objectives in the Dragon and the Rift Herald. We've seen Immortals have, at least more recently, have a little bit more control of those objectives. Just in general, you mentioned one of the reasons why you're predicting an Immortals victory is the fact that through all of the games, even when they're behind in gold, they've been the more active team on the map. Given these compositions, once again, we've talked about, well, Immortals is going to have more power early, perhaps. Does that mean that C9, once again, is almost praying to the RNG gods that 3 Infernals don't spawn in a row?
The thing is, even if they don't get Infernals, you're hoping that you don't get Mountains or Infernals for Cloud9, for Immortals. Because if they get a Mountain Dragon here, that basically turns this pick comp into a one that can just rush Baron this fast. And it's going to be so difficult to deal with a composition that can just go over so many different angles towards you and just pick you off with the Trundle, with the Jhin, Lissandra. You pretty much have every way to pick you off. And if you get Infernal, now you have 4 champions that can benefit from the AD and AP, which is going to be even tougher to deal with. So as long as it's Cloud and Ocean, you're good to go. But if there's Mountains or Fires coming up, then I think Cloud9 really needs to step up their game and fight for these.
I did just check. It's an Ocean Drake that spawned first. So we at least know that that's the first one. So a little bit of safety there for Cloud9 to get through the early games. I think I just got word that the technical pause on stage, has been resolved. So let's hand it back to the Oh, maybe not. Yes, has been. So we're going to... Wait, what was it? Yes? We're going to the casters for Game 5. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, no, man.
It's up in the air, but we are here. Yes, we are ready to get ourselves into the game very shortly. I promise it's really going to happen very, very soon. And sadly for you guys on the analyst desk, you mentioned Ocean Drake. It's a chance it's not going to be the case because I was told not to, but I have to because guess what? Because you brought it
You're
up. You're going to have to remake the game,
No.
and there's a chance that they will keep the same picks and bans. It will be the same champions. They did not see each other on the Rift. There was no interaction, so the official rule for this is game of record. Nothing happened, so it's the same game. No new champ select. The same champs, same summoners, same runes and masteries. All that fun stuff is going to be identical to before. However, might not be an Ocean Drake.
Yep, have to roll the dice again for which
It might be.
spawns first. We'll see.
25% chance that I could have not said it at all. But now I'm on record, so unfortunately this has just happened now.
I would actually take the odds, 75% chance that you're right, though.
Yes, I would too.
That's much
That's
better.
how odds work. So, okay. Honestly, though, that's going to be remade very, very soon. We're waiting in the lobby for that to start. So that's just going to be basically a quick countdown, the lock and everything. The 1 minute, swap time goes through, and then we get ourselves in. But yeah, hearing that the issues are fixed, we'll be getting ourselves into the game very shortly. And after hearing the analysts talk about that match and this game coming up, any further thoughts?
I think a lot of it really does just come down to, we talked about it a bit, they talked about it on the desk, but how safe can Sneaky and Smoothie play without just forfeiting lane, right? You can't just give up a massive disadvantage for free, but you have to be able to play very safe. You have to be able to expect 4 or 5 man dives in the bot lane. This is what the composition is kind of crafted to do. And yes, Immortals can go for different things, but I think that's the clear target, and they must play safely and play around that.
Yeah, and even though they have a Tahm Kench to get Sneaky out of there,
okay,
the wall. Exactly. The Trundle Pillar actually works incredibly well, and then when 6 comes out, you can actually shred through the Tahm Kench rather easily. And so if you're able to take him out, then you can kind of snowball that off and get the next person down the line.
All right, well, going through on this one as the players get themselves ready to load into the game, we're quickly approaching that situation as the final locks come through and the 60-second countdown comes in. So we'll be back on the Rift in just about 2 minutes here. And yeah, it's a matter of, to boil it down farther and farther and farther, sniping the bottom lane, withstanding that, and getting to items for C9.
Yeah, and you heard Crumbs talking about how Syndra would really want like a cleanse and then would have to give up pressure, but he's actually gone with the Ghost. You can't change your summoner spells at this point since he had gone with the Flash Ghost previously. And so now, well, how does he do up against the Lissandra late game? What ends up happening here? And he has to make good use of that Ghost dodging Talia abilities, or else there's a lot of pressure on him early. I think that this is the lane that you go for in terms of ganks. If you are Reignover, try to visit that Talia lane.
There certainly is going to be some pressure, but having that Ghost allows them to be more aggressive in lane as well and to dodge those ganks better. I think the problem comes, like you said, when Lissandra gets involved, when Lissandra roams down. But I think it's a lot of confidence in Smoothie and his ability to save him from those ultimates. So it's showing a lot of reliance, a lot of trust on Smoothie on this Tahm Kench, keep them safe in those opportunities. And we'll see if Jensen's going to be able to do it, because he would love to smash lane. He would love to carve out his own advantage and take control, because he has not really been the guy to do it so far. And traditionally throughout the season, he has been. Yeah, and he's been heavily focused by enemy junglers, but also he's gotten a decent amount of attention, but he's been able to take over games. I mean, Body by Jensen is not a meme for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, he has actually been performing incredibly well last split and this split. Remember, he was on the All-Pro team beating Pobelter out in those votes in spring, and now he was third behind Pobelter. Yeah. That said, I think Jensen does have probably the strongest laning phase in the league right now.
And we'll see if they can do it, because we are now back on the Rift and ready to go for real this time. Game 5 is afoot. Immortals versus Cloud9. A spot in the finals on the line. And
you didn't have to say anything, Freak. It's an ocean drink.
Ocean! I was ready for it. I looked down. Just kidding, guys. We're here.
Exactly the same game.
We promise.
We promise. We promise.
Now production's just mad at you. That's all you gained. Anyway.
I know. They're actually moving up as a squad here. We'll see if they can actually... Is there any chance of a face check or anything crazy happening?
Usually these players are smarter than that. Honestly, one thing to keep in mind is I think level 1s are right now in a stage of very low risk, because there's much less that you need to gain information-wise, since you expect the 2-1-2 bot lane. And so the risks are much less likely to happen.
If you think about the Immortals' last few games, every time that they've started the game off, they've actually tried to invade. Wild Turtle tried to invade the Krugs from a sneaky route, went all the way around, and then tried to pick up one, and it ended up going to Sneaky. Game before that, they were doing Gromp. C9 had to ward in their river to see them coming, and it made them stop actually going towards that. So what they were preying on there was that Immortals would try to go for the same move. They hold around there, and then they just 5-man dive on whoever just tried to walk by to stop and jungle.
It's very low risk, right? And if someone does face check, you get a first blood.
Yep.
That can be massive for the team, or even a summoner. But not going to happen this time around, as both bot lanes looking to start on a camp, and things looking pretty normal.
And you see the small choices made. Sneaky walks for the top side to help get vision up there, see something happens. Woo! Spits it nice and far. And this is actually a good thing, because now, of course, C9 can kill Krug or Gromp from farther down, get to their lane a little bit sooner. It like saves 2 seconds basically, and they can move on. Yeah, Immortals playing it right as well. Wild Turtle makes sure he last hits with his 4th shot. Not having to reload another time is a very big deal. So very properly played early situation. There's level 2 for both AD carries.
Master is looking very normal across the board.
Only thing is, Impact just with the fervor, trying to push him out a little bit more.
And I think
became kind of standard for Echo.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit risky against ranged opponents because you're less likely to get to whack them several times. I think it makes more sense melee versus melee, but it's still the style he's going for. In a team fight, DPS will be higher, of course. Nice chunk down there, yeah.
Really aggressive here early on is impacted. A callback to last game, actually, where he was doing very much the same thing. He was extremely aggressive, very confident, charging forward onto Huni on that gangplank and trying to really kind of get advantages.
Speaking of advantages, Jensen doing good things against Pobelter in the mid lane. The Immortals mid lane are already out of his potions. He's chugged the last biscuit. Well, if Jensen does it a few more times, he's got to take an early recall. And keep in mind, neither of these guys have teleport, so getting back to lane is sometimes a slow process. Pobelter bringing Exhaust to try to survive the Jensen matchup because he knows that ulti's going to be painful. Nice, lands all 3 abilities. You can see just how good Jensen is. I love what he does. The W goes on the left side, the Q on the right side, and the E makes sure one's going to hit for sure.
100% chance of
Yes, has no
there.
smite. Oh, does get it.
Auto body slam does it.
Getting in, yeah. Pobelter has no more. Sorry about that. Say no more potions left, so he's going to be sitting down at that half HP mark. So he's incredibly gankable right now.
Certainly is, but it's Reignover paying the most attention right now to that mid lane. Meteos moving up towards the top side where Huni had them pushing in. Could perhaps be a little bit vulnerable.
You see right now, the Meteors are getting it a little bit faster. Smoothie now in a bit of a rough spot, but they have to switch aggro back and forth while Turtle has to reload, and just damage dealt to both of them as the Immortals dual lane actually running out of health pretty rapidly. A quick teleport back into lane as Impact takes a Doran's ring and wants to continue to push Huni, and I wonder if he can make it a bad recall. Actually, this is
It's freezing towards Impact. It is. It is going to push towards Impact a little bit. So this is definitely kind of nice for him, and it makes Impact feel a little bit nervous to base. He doesn't want to lose too much. Maybe
Huni.
Yeah, sorry, my mistake. It's Huni. Feels like he has to stay around a little bit.
But it's with low mana, so if he has to keep queuing for last hits, it means he can't use his E to escape. Oh, Meteos spots Reignover, does damage back and forth, and that's a smite.
But Pobelter,
He's so far up here, he's got to be careful.
Here, lands a lot of the rocks, the jump around, one more hit will do it, and oh no, Meteos giving away first blood and a catastrophic mistake in Game 5.
Game 5,
Oh my God.
invading onto Reignover, full vision there. Jensen did not have priority. He even blows his ghost to try and get there faster, but it was just way too far down and way too aggressive from Meteos.
And it was a winning lane for Jensen. Jensen was doing great, and now it's first blood given over to Pobelter. Just a disaster there from Meteos. Body slams in, and had he just walked in, he would have had the body slam to get out. But he even used the body slam to go forward into it, and had no escape tools.
Misjudgment there. You can watch this fight again.
And-
in full vision, wants to steal.
And even on top of that, it just gives blue buff over to Pobelter. Knockup comes through from Meteos. Pobelter is already here, ignores the wave, and then the flash comes through. And look at that, Turtle even tries to get a piece of that with his Deadly Flourish from the other side, but the exhaust slows him down long enough, and then the E just picks him up afterwards. Now Pobelter has a decent advantage now.
No, silly mistake from Meteos, but games are often decided by much more than that. But if Immortals needed to win the early game, it's a great way to start things out, absolutely.
Yeah, no kidding.
Level 6 now up for Pobelter, but Huni's teleport is down.
Swifty Boots says the first buy here for Turtle. Going to be very low on that in-combat power. We'll be able to kind of move around the map faster, but always a buy that I feel kind of weird about.
It was a super early back, too. Basically,
Forced.
he backed for it, was forced, and then Sneaky hasn't backed just yet either, so it is a little bit of an advantage right now, but as soon as Sneaky gets a recall, but that's what he's going to try to stop from happening.
Meteos back to the scene of the crime.
Well, takes 3 of the small Raptors, 27 gold to Meteos. Thanks very much.
It wasn't too long ago either. His chalk outline is still there.
And to his credit, this time Jensen is here to help
Yes.
out, right? This is a safer invade, and you can't start to doubt what is the right play. Yes, he made a mistake the first time around, but this was an intelligent play. He steals away the camp, and he can't get scared off of the right play because one play went wrong.
Yes, absolutely. If it's the right play, but you just weren't in sync with your teammate, just go try it again instead of saying, you know, I'm not going to do that again because I don't trust you anymore.
Yeah.
And it means that despite the death, despite the advantage of the Pobelter got off the kill, it's equal experience for these junglers, both getting their ultimates at the same time, essentially. And even Jensen still up in farm right now. The gold deficit only 200 to 300, despite a 600 gold value first blood. They're farming very well.
I'm actually quite surprised that Meteos didn't try to play to the top side of the jungle, because he knows that Reignover didn't take his blue, and that Pobelter had gotten that blue. But hold on, Reignover's going to try to invade up here, and Jensen has inside track, but so does Impact, to my knowledge. But no, actually, Jensen doesn't. He got shoved in right then.
He's coming first now.
Ooh, neither of them have Smite either, but Meteos obviously doesn't know that. It looks like he's just willing to give it up, and now they are going to try to make this roam. See what they can get done.
Now they have Jensen, and there's a ward keep fine, so Jensen can just abduct it with W, and at the very worst make it reset.
To the lane!
It's going to. Whee! Oh, the damage? Nice.
Well done.
Plays the patience mechanics properly. Nicely played right there.
That's cute.
Very, very well played.
Oh, this is actually a little bit awkward for Impact here. He's pretty far up. He's going to get ulted. Talia's going to come over, perhaps.
Oh, he didn't go back either. They need to get him down low enough so that the ultimate will kill him.
There comes the play, shoves him around, a bit of damage, but not quite enough dealt. Impact tanky with his magic resist focus build. You saw his first pieces are the piece of a Spectre's Cowl.
Why didn't Pobelter ult over the wall, though? Why didn't he come over?
I don't know.
A little bit strange. I thought he was going to come over for sure when the Lissandra ult got dropped, but decides not to make the move. Perhaps was thinking there was some sort of a counter gank in position, maybe a little bit nervous about making that move. I think it would have been a kill, perhaps.
Yeah, you're right. They definitely could have dedicated a bit more, but not the situation they found themselves in. Impact just going to recall away. His teleport is up. We'll see if he uses it to rejoin the lane or do something else. Wild Turtle is level 6 on Jhin, so here comes the mid lane roam. Oh. Jensen, 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 is a flash, and 4 is a dodge.
That is worth it. Getting both summoner spells out of the Syndra. Like, now he has to watch out for those W's and the flash knockup from Reignover.
Yeah, exactly. Notice how Immortals thought they could get the summoner, so they don't commit any of their own. They can come right back to this with a flash on Burrow from Reignover, and if he lands that, the seismic shove on Talia.
Here's the answer.
Play. Ooh.
Very close.
Walk backwards just in time. And I don't believe that. Yeah, there was a ward in the river that saw the arrow come down, so he's like, I gotta run backwards.
Convenient time to go towards blue buff. I meant it all along.
Yeah, figures out the trajectory pretty quickly.
It is a little bit risky to kind of do those side arrows. That's why, generally speaking, they look for those arrows after a recall. Shoot it straight down the lane, much higher chance of landing those.
Speaking of landing, though, this is going to be a root on a sneaky. When he walks forward to, I guess, project some threat, lands a tongue lash. Sneaky forced to chug a potion to stay alive. You can see him going towards the Essence Reaver, and Wild Turtle once again building the cooldown focus build of what's going to be Essence Reaver first on Jhin as well. So, again, the rapid ult style.
Yeah, look at all these wards around River and around Race. They know that there's a possibility of Pobelter just surfing down the bot lane, and they're heavily respecting that with all this vision.
Well, you talk about what the analyst desk was talking about, where Immortals want to 5-man that bot side. Cloud9 have got that kind of covered right now.
Once again, another reason that they're actually going to pink that bush, so there can't be a ward behind them. They're trying to cover all their bases. 3 pinks on this side of the map. Heavy vision around here as well. They know what Immortals wants to go for, and they're trying to play to that, which is, I think, very, very intelligent stuff here. And you know, Jensen with his summoners down, that's another point of weakness right now for Cloud9, and he must play around it as well.
Reignover, a level up and a better duelist, gets to take ward control. 2 pinks killed by him. None answered yet by C9 as Meteos kind of hides away and takes jungle camps out. So, a vision deficit here. Impact once again looking for the duel, but can't get the third auto attack in. And at this stage, Huni is able to kind of zone him out and take advantageous trades. That third auto is actually really important for Impact.
Yeah, Huni's doing a really good job of getting the perfect frame on his W, so he actually roots Impact after the E, and he doesn't allow him to get a third.
You can see what those trades look like when Impact does get the hit off.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if he was going to ult back for it there
Yeah.
as the ghosted trail onto Huni, but decides not to make the commitment. And probably the right choice, as he hasn't really built up any damage. You know, he's just sitting on hard treads.
And you can see how vigilant they are there to take out all the wards from Cloud9's side. The sweeper comes down in a side bush and immediately onto Huni.
Ults back in because he can do that much more frequently now. Huni chases it in, dodges away from the shield. Impact gets it.
Here comes Reignover and Pobelter. They're
And
trying to kill him.
Like the ulti's down. They go right away for this one. There's the target. There's the focus. That's going to be the kill picked up. And Huni going to walk away with his life. 2-0 Immortals.
And that's the punish right there immediately from Immortals. He ults back to lane to save the TP. They execute the dive.
And Jensen was backing at that time. He goes back. Pobelter uses that window to get a good roam off, and he's not even going to back just yet either. He's going to go clear out the mid wave again, and he picks up that kill. So he's kind of rolling in cash right now.
He's got a ton. The pieces of Morel and Omicron basically waiting to be combined here with all the money he's earned. plays the wave clear game back and forth. Jensen doing it first, and this time around, Pobelter will have a reasonably good timing. Even gets the last one, and yeah, there's the recall to cash in.
Interesting to see Pobelter with the blue trinket pretty early on here. He's actually using that to kind of check vision deep into the enemy jungle. And not something you see that often on a Syndra or really any mid-laners.
Yeah, Jensen and Cloud9 in general are just being really vigilant about their warding and trying to keep tabs on Rainover at the least, but at the most, stop these teleport plays from coming through. But we saw there that the focus was top.
Exactly. I mean, they have, to their credit, their bot lane has not died. You know, their bot lane is up in CS. They're playing safe, right? But Immortals has found plays elsewhere. You know, a great play top lane, and then a mistake from Meteos has been the advantage right now for Immortals. But the game is still close, and we have given the edge as far as standard team fight type games to Cloud9, and the question then becomes, have they kept it close enough? Is it a big enough advantage for Immortals to really succeed with their comp?
Looking for a play now onto Adrian. One more auto attack, but the barrel, not the barrel, sorry, I keep saying that, but I mean the pillar, the traffic cone into the flash gets him away. Once again, the trade of damage. Impact this time around does get the second half of Time Winder and the second auto attack. Ult's back in for damage. A fair bit onto Huni. Ooh, it's a flash forced away. I think he needed to do that.
Here comes Rainover, though.
Huni doesn't have ultimate just yet.
Impact does have flash, gets the stun on the shield, and just walks away cleanly. Nicely played on the escape.
And this should mean Cloud9 can go for the dragon, as you know, they have seen the jungler top lane. He used to use his ult. Huni is chunked out. They decide not to make the move, but
they're threatening
it's going to be a little bit of a counter jungle here.
Red buff and the chance at a turret, honestly. Even Jensen's down here to really say, don't you dare fight for this minion wave. And the question is, can they really knock the rest of this turret down?
Huni does have his TP available. They have to be cognizant of that.
Too. And yeah, Huni has his ultimate to go along with that teleport. And looks like
Immortals is all coming. They're going to make the TP play.
Call. A nice pillar, damage on a Smoothie, but he's honestly one of the best targets C9 could hope for. Bray healths it up, and now the smite. Bit of damage. Another root comes through, but he's alive, and now they land a stun on a Rainover. But they've got to respect the fact that the rock bed was down and Pobelter could force him away.
It's also that Rainover has those Merc treads. No TP used there from either top laner. And Pobelter actually had a few seconds left on his Weaver's wall as he was approaching, so he couldn't cut them off right at the beginning.
Yeah, decide not to go for that full committal, as you know, had Huni come down and not been able to get anything from it, they don't want him falling behind Impact. And Impact now with that cowl building very defensively, not electing to go for the early Trinity Force, just trying to pick up the Spirit Visage as Freak assumed he would.
Yeah, and it's going to make it very difficult to kill him a second time, but there's of course always going to be that chance. Impact just clearing waves away.
Here comes the wall.
Oh, but here's the cutoff.
He dropped it off.
Well, yeah, Football doesn't want to be alone under the turret like that. Wild Turtle getting a bit of damage, running out of HP a little bit. The flash by Smoothie, exhausted a Sneaky means not too much. And it's really not that much gained, all said and done. The damage just wasn't there for Immortals.
Not much gained at all, nothing really. Honestly, the edge goes to C9 as they're pushing in mid lane, and no flash on Huni. Huni could be in trouble here.
Impact, ooh, a good route to get him away. Huni gonna survive this encounter so far.
Cooldowns are almost back up though for Impact.
He down, jumps away. Impact jumps for that. Huni gonna self-ult. And a trade of spells, no surprise here. Huni had to stay alive, but is running low as time goes on.
Had that parallel convergence landed, he would have had the kill. It was a matter of inches, but Pobelter does lose his blue, and they get priority on mid. So a little bit of damage done there for the Rome bot.
And we look at the kills, 2 in favor of Immortals, the first blood as well, but the goal is so close to being even right now, and that's off of Sneaky just doing so well in this laning phase, and this turret is almost gone.
Yeah, if he gets that first blood, especially if they give it to him solo, that would be huge. Pobelter is moving. Looking to try to punish this, and here comes the TP.
A ward, gonna be the teleport, so Smoothie says, let's get out of here. Oh, it doesn't come out in time! It doesn't come out in time! The kill comes through, and now Sneaky gonna try to juke away, dodges every single skill shot, and survives this one, but here comes the teleport onto Turtle. Impact on the flank, but this is a 4v5, Cloud9. What exactly are you fighting for? Impact teleports just to run away.
And Impact, another ineffective TP there, way away from the team, and Meteos forced to use the ultimate. They want to try to clear this out. Syndra returning to mid lane here. Jensen calling off that roam, wants to try to pressure it. It was a nice thought from Smoothie. Had that ult got off, it would have been so good, but they're just a little bit too slow on it.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to, honestly. Yeah. And the fact that Impact and Huni had been brawling so much in the top lane beforehand actually saved Sneaky, because there was no ultimate for Huni. He had used the tomb previously to save himself. And this right here, it's literally, you're talking about game of inches, game of milliseconds here. He's gone, he's in the ground, and boop, right back up.
Yeah, pops right back up, and You almost wonder, should Smoothie have just ditched Sneaky and Sneaky takes the local gold on that first blood turret? You know, is that really worth it? Because if they're TPing in already and you die using no summoners as Sneaky, you get that turret and Smoothie gets out, that may have been a better option.
Really tight timing, though. It's hard to really say the best
it's hard to
option.
make the call, right? It's this game of inches, and that's what's so interesting about League of Legends is these little tiny calls, differences in how people play.
Yeah, and right now, you can see Meteos coming towards the bottom side. They want that first turret gold, but Huni is now roaming down, trying to flank Jensen, but Jensen is roaming as well. Everybody is coming down to the bottom
Impact
side.
can't join. I guess Huni walking back up.
Yeah, window was
can't
closed.
either. It's a 4v4 at most, really. Both top laners will mirror themselves. A matchup that Impact has been slightly winning, even despite the fact that he got ganked. He's looking pretty good on this. And then you're going to clear this away. And the funny thing as well is look at the gold. It's only a 600 difference, despite the fact that there are 3 kills for Immortals. The farm just ever so slightly helping to keep C9 close in this one. But Immortals are the team with the lead so far in this fifth and final game.
Look at all this pressure around the bot side, and to Zareed's point, Immortals is trying to stop them from getting this first blood turret because they know that C9 really wants it. It's a couple more hits. If they can get one wave to the turret, they can go for it. And both teams will have to play back and forth to this. Sneaky does have his arrow available as well, so next fight could be pretty explosive.
Oh,
Pobelter.
the damage. Pobelter gonna survive it though, and now the Tom Kenchel didn't bring in reinforcements. It's him and Meteos. They're on top of Pobelter.
Oh, he gets
one more
point.
hit will do it, and yes, the shutdown comes through. Explosive cast to seal the deal. Finally, Cloud9 finding an aggressive play of their own.
And it's a shutdown too. Pobelter has all of the kills for Immortals. It's who they needed to pick up there. And Jensen, if he can hit some breakpoints and keep doing that, it opens up the game.
And Immortals is going to defend mid, but Sneaky's alone in the bot lane. He can go for that first turret. That's very, very big for them, and he should have time to get there. But Jin's opening up.
Exactly, and here comes the Sonder from the left side. If they don't make it out of this,
Pillar, it's going to be a flash for Jensen. Here comes the dive in, low health, and that's going to be Syndra going down. Rainover gets the kill credit into this one. It'll be a trade, though, and Cloud9 actually going to take that first turret. 650 golds to specifically their AD carry as Impact splits the top.
And Impact is working on top lane, so it's Immortals getting the kills, but it's C9 focusing on the objectives and really starting to open up a little bit of a gold lead here.
yeah, and you can see just because Immortals were up before, now they have to get this turret to try and equalize, and Meteos is going to help wave clear.
There we go, takes it out.
1,000 gold difference now.
1,200, roughly the exact amount that a first turret is worth right there. Everything else playing equal. We'll see if the teams can trade back and forth for more objectives. Immortals feel powerful on the bot side of the map, and in fact, that's going to pay off for them. An early-ish Ocean Drake, 20 minutes in.
And Infernal is the next one there, which they're saying on the desk, you know, you had to hope that they don't spawn triple Infernal or even any Infernal for Immortals, but they're able to get their hands on them.
May go for the dive, no flash on Huni here.
I think you do. I think you're a little bit tanky at this point. Ooh.
He's got no vision, though. If you look
Yeah.
at that, there is no sight at all on the left side of the map, but mid lane also going down. C9 able to keep lane pressure up against Immortals.
It's the Rylai is now done here for Jensen, giving them a bit of additional chase down. As you start to land those spells, you can pop the ghost and really kind of stick onto your opponents. It's very annoying to deal with in combination with the slows from Tom Kench, the Q from Echo, the barrels from Gragas. All these guys can slow you. Makes it frustrating to engage and frustrating to disengage.
Yeah, it's really hard to get away from them, and I think that all of these slows, you're just looking at, oh man, they're going to be able to chase you down. How do we engage? Well, it has to be that one hit. Huni has to get in there, and he has to be able to get a really good ultimate off. There's some other ways as well with Weaver's Wall and such, but it's really on this Lissandra to get those good flanks, get a key member locked up.
And right now, speaking of who they might want to lock up, Impact starting to get some damage for himself. Stop Spectre's Cow, so that's enough tankiness for me. That plus the Merc Treads is cool. Triforce going to come in before too long. He's only about 400 gold away from getting that item in his inventory. And that'll be a nice power spike for Impact, and I guess thankfully for C9, there's no objectives, neutral ones at least, to fight for a while. That'll give them time to get these items through.
Hurricane now complete there for Sneaky, sitting on that 2-item power spike, and have a fair bit of CDR with this, and allows you to be much more liberal with those arrows along with the level 11.
63-second cooldown on Enchanted Crystal Arrow at level 11 here. Impact going to defend himself under the turret, but careful because
They're
a lot
roaming
of
down.
Immortals
Here
are
comes
here.
C9.
They're roaming down.
TK ult is available.
Huni has his teleport, and he's trying to get some work done on the top side, so if they actually just pull away and Immortals don't lose anybody on this bottom side of the map, then that's actually Huni getting a lot of work done on the top.
And the nice thing with Ocean Drake being here is Immortals can take small scraps and lose a bit of health, use their mana liberally because it's going to come back very quickly. And so doing this more skirmishy style, if they can find smaller engagements, actually does play out to Immortals' favor.
Game, once again, going to be a turret right back to dead even pretty much here. A couple hundred gold separating these two teams, and Impact holds onto his TP. I think that's the right choice.
Oh!
You get extra movement speed when you're on your worked ground as well.
Yep.
Sneaky again, going for those kind of horizontal arrows instead of just shooting it right down mid lane, which is much more what I'm used to seeing. And I think he's trying to kind of be a little bit more slippery about it, do it from an angle his opponent doesn't suspect, but it makes it so much easier to dodge.
And if he does get one, though, like, Pobelter's pretty much dead at that point. If you can stay out of exhaust range as Jensen and get your full combo from that distance.
We'll see what happens. 600 gold separates these teams. As was able to answer the top lane outer turret. But Immortals really want bot lane to fall here. They're putting a lot of resources in. They're keeping Rain over here as a laner. Basically tried laning this, trying to lock it down. Pobelter, looking for
the Weaver's Wall. TP coming in behind.
Engage, here they go. Smoothie eats up the Ashe and they're trying to get away with this one. There's the cutoff. Smoothie's got nowhere to go. Can't spit sneaky far enough, but he's got a flash to get away. Exhausted on Pobelter, buys some time. Hooting in the backline, taking a lot of punishment. Jumps over the wall, still goes down, never even ults himself. And Pobelter has to flash away. Gets tongue lashed and another kill as Impact takes out the backline. Asher lands on Adrian. Here's another dive. Impact gets his second, heals himself up, and now looks for Adrian. This is not a good spot for Trundle. It's going to be another one picked up. That's 4 unanswered kills for Cloud9.
4 for 0. They could head to Baron. Do they make the call? It could be risky. Reignover is still alive. 24 minutes in. It looks like that's where C9's going to head.
Yeah, they're going to go straight there. They lose absolutely no one. Such a clean fight that they were playing defense on. And Reignover doesn't have his smite for a bit. And C9 are going to try to risk it to take the series. This are going to try to get an advantage and try to push it.
I don't think his smite's going to be up in time. I don't think there's really anything Reignover can do, but he's trying to threaten. He's trying to make them pull off, do anything he can.
Smoothie eats him away, pushes him out. He doesn't have a chance to spike even if it were up, and that's going to be Baron Nashor going to Cloud9. The lead, almost 4,000 gold as they retreat, and Immortals looks to re-engage. Proto Belt in, Hooney's
and that was the flash as well. They're just going to walk out scot-free here.
He's going to keep trying for it.
He needs to be careful.
Oh. Arrow's gonna miss, explosive cast bought a bit of time, and all he can take for himself is some Krugs. Poke from Wild Turtle, he wants in, doesn't go for it. Couple of snipes come through, Jensen's running out of health, Meteos tanks it. And really nothing good gained by by Immortals. Hoping to make top lane happen, getting what they can, but
mid,
be careful.
Yeah, they get the tier 1 mid, so they don't make it as big of a lead, and they get the bottom turret, so it's a 1.7k gold advantage in favor of Cloud9, but they get the Baron onto everybody.
And here's the fight once again, opening up here, but it's Impact coming in from behind Turtle. He's able to solo him out, and look at this escape from Sneaky on the other side. Sneaky's able to get away, survive for so long, and it's Meteos and Jensen taking down Hooney before he even uses his ultimate, so things are kind of going wrong on all sides, and once Impact takes out the backline, the collapse can come in here from C9, and they're really able to clean up.
Yeah, the fact that Wild Turtle was not informed that the TP was coming in behind him, he spent so much time getting those last shots off. You saw him sitting there, and he's honestly a sitting duck.
He is. And C9 looking to control vision around this Infernal Dragon. They have not really had great dragon control in this series as a whole, and they are looking to kind of remedy that, try to pick up an important one and take it away from their opponents, and looks like they will be able to do so.
Yeah, really no answer here with Hooney on the top side of the map. It would have to be up to Reignover, but in fact, he's going to cover some options.
Yeah, no chance there for Reignover to steal that away, and Impact going to head right back up to the top lane. He's now getting a little bit ahead here of his opponent, building towards that Randuin's and getting pretty damn tanky.
Quick clear in the minion wave, and you can see in the top right corner the track of how much Cloud9's been able to get during Baron. And keep in mind, there's 1,525 gold from killing the Baron itself.
Yeah, they lost two turrets.
Right, exactly. Immortals have been able to, as they always do, find a way to keep the aggression on, even when they're behind, even when it shouldn't be good for them. Quite a bit gained by Immortals here.
Yeah, and you do have to worry, though, if you are Immortals, because these items that are coming through, highly defensive. Meteos almost has his Guardian Angel here. We're seeing more HP in for Jensen from his Rylai's that he's had. So Sneaky's really the only person that Smoothie has to worry about in terms of actually devouring.
Yeah.
So if you aren't able to pick off Sneaky immediately if you're Immortals, then the rest of the fight becomes incredibly difficult to execute.
That said, Summoner Spell's extremely important for Cloud9. You know, the only way over that Weaver's Wall really for Sneaky is his flash, or perhaps Smoothie flashing him over. So, you know,
Smoothie can
without
actually devour him and push him over the side of the wall.
I didn't know if the range is high enough
Yeah,
for that.
I didn't know it was high.
You pop him out.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Spit him out over, be like,
Yep.
ah, wait,
Yeah.
I'll come for you later.
Well, C9 pushing it. Oh, they land the arrow on Hoonie!
That's Chain CC. That's a dead Lissandra. Down immediately. Impact gonna tank it up just fine. Ults himself back. Another turret picked up, and it's 4,000 gold, putting C9 ahead, looking for their 5th North American LCS final.
And to make history repeat itself and keep Immortals out of the finals when they looked so dominant during the regular season.
There's playmaking abilities evolved here, ready to go for C9. Flash is ready for almost everyone here, and they could look for a dive.
And Impact has his TP. He's TPing right now onto a minion to allow them to keep it up a little bit longer.
Here we go. Snipes coming across. A nice 2-man stun. Buys a little bit of time. Impact gets the shield and walks away. Last shot slows down the tank, but he doesn't care.
One thing to keep in mind, Hoonie is almost up and has his TP, so
That's
Immortals
great.
on the prowl, and the Reaver's Wall is available. Will Immortals commit to a fight here?
TP
This
to
will be huge.
the tunnel.
C9 missing 3 ultis at this time. Pobota tries to lock them off, and he's going to separate
split.
3 of them. Here comes the battle. Hoonie home guarding in. Reignover tanks the damage. There's the flash there on Sneaky. A lot of damage dealt, but he gets eaten, and he's going to stay alive for now. Impact
They
finds
split him.
time in the side. Hoonie gets a lot of AoE down.
Impact on a turtle.
Wild Turtle trying to stay up, trying to kite away. He does fall, and the re-engage comes in. A double for Meteos. Reignover's going to drop to Impact. That's 3 already, and it's Immortals running out of teammates. The re-engage
the
with Tom
ace.
Kench looking for the ace as Adrian is the last one alive. Immortals only picked off 1. They lost this fight hard.
A lot of that was Smoothie stealing Sneaky, and then on the opposite side, Impact is doing work. He's jumping onto Turtle, but then everybody is turning onto him. They section the fight into an advantageous numbers on the left side for them.
Yeah, and Pobelter with a great start to the fight. And watch, they actually push Sneaky away here to start this off before they ult him. So he actually gets Weaver's walled away, and then it's a flash over immediately from Smoothie to save his AD carry. He was so fast with that.
And then look at that, Impact is just drawing everybody off to the left side, and then goes after Wild Turtle, but that entire time, 3 people are running after Impact. He has so much movement speed, he eats the exhaust as well from Talia, so he's keeping Wild Turtle and Pobelter both busy, and the right side of the fight was just absolutely devastating.
In the
in favor
meantime,
of Cena.
back to live. They're looking to set up an arrow here, sitting on a pink ward. They have mid lane warded. They're looking for a pick to potentially go for maybe a big play, crack an inhibitor or something.
Yeah, no chance at a Baron. It's 1 minute, 20 seconds away, but they can certainly get a little bit more looking for a pressure. Looking
look
for
the-
maybe mid lane.
The top lane as well.
Oh, the arrow!
They got Pobelter. There's the knockback, and it's going to be the kill picked up. Meteos unstoppable. 5, 1, and 3. And as the wave reinforces in 20 seconds, they'll look for mid lane tier 2.
Impact up 3 levels now in this 1v1. Hoonie cannot even touch him.
It was such a risky pick to pick the Lissandra as well, and he did it into the Echo blind.
Call wants to clear the wave, and Meteos says, "Don't you dare kill my minions. I'll sacrifice myself for it and make sure that mid lane can be attacked." Hoonie under danger. Impact runs away on this one.
They don't have their wave clear.
Reignover losing health. Smoothie impervious to damage. There's the ulti in, and they're not going to get Impact in time. Merktred saves them. And now
Hoonie's
it's
so
Hoonie.
low.
He's super dead on this one. Flashes away. The body block actually going to survive this one. Immortals don't lose too much. Pobelter finally respawns. And C9 off the arrow play, get mid lane tier 2.
And honestly, that's the best of a bad situation for them. Baron is up in 10 seconds, and this one, Cloud9 are way stronger than before. 6,000 gold up. They're getting their backs in right now. And they have to do it quickly.
I also really like that Sneaky is itemizing a little bit more defensively. He knows how much pressure there is on him to stay alive. He picks up the Hex Drinker, getting himself a little bit more safety. And experience is really becoming a problem if you look across the board. 2 levels up for Sneaky over Turtle. There's 2 levels up on Impact. We had the mid laner Jensen was a level up. He's almost a full level. But experience can be really big at this point in the game.
Especially when people are cresting their level 16 ultimates.
Yeah.
Pony not there yet, whereas Impact
17.
also has some really great base stats. And I like the Sneaky. itemizing that Hex Drinker. I would actually not be surprised if he went for the full Maw before he actually completed his IE, because all he needs to do is survive Lissandra and Pobelter, or Huni and Pobelter, because the only physical damage is Wild Turtle, and Impact is taking care of that.
And they're moving right back towards the Baron. TP is available for Impact. It's not available for Huni, so they can buy some time by having Impact push us in, pressure the tier 2. If Huni comes to respond, they could look to cause a fight.
And Huni is in the bot lane right now, so there's a time to be afraid. 26 seconds on the teleport cooldown. C9 have a very, very small window to make this opening work, and Huni walks up knowing that's the threat.
Yeah, Huni is moving up there, showing that respect, and looks like Sneaky's just going to try to solo out the dragon.
Exactly. Cover pink wards on the top side. Make sure that you have control of the Baron. They will hold that while they do the Ocean Drake on the opposite side. And they are none the wiser on the side of Immortals. They don't have bot side vision. They don't know who is and isn't here for Cloud9.
And if Sneaky does want that Maw, he's a couple gold away from the full completion, so could back up here and complete that, try to stay alive. And oh, that's actually pretty big. Getting control of the Scuttle for C9. Midos winning that little smite battle means that they can have more priority on this and more ability to turn and fight if Immortals comes to challenge.
Impact just cleaning up the jungle on the way through.
Look to the play, slow onto Adrian. That's Eternal Support running out of a bit of HP. Pobelter's damage doesn't do much here. Chef misses, looking for more plays. Huni's teleport is up and he is split pushing, so it's now on C9 to make the aggressive play. They know the wards are gone. They're looking for the bait play.
If they can get an arrow, they're going to start it.
Okay, they've got plenty of tanks. They've got 3 big frontliners. Sneaky gonna zone Rainover out for now.
Huni is
not joining. There's too much risk on C9. I think they're too afraid of this play. The pressure of Game 5 certainly weighing on them, and they're going to recall to defend.
Exactly, and now Immortals are going to push these waves out. That tier 2 in the bottom side, a lot of damage coming in from Huni, has it below half HP, and mid control goes over to Immortals as well.
This turret might actually just die. No one's going to be back in time. And also keep in mind, the ones that are recalling from C9 are not teleport users for the most part, so they're just off the map for a while. Immortals gets to inherit some map control, and they've pulled this game back to a 4,000 deficit. It would require a comeback. It would require some big plays from Immortals. C9 are in the driver's seat, but this is not over by any means.
Certainly not, and Vision is cleared out from Immortals there by the Baron Pit too. So C9 has to kind of start this multi-step process of clearing out the Vision and getting control and then pushing out the lanes and then going back to the Baron. You don't just get to start it up right away. You have to do all these other things first.
Yeah, got to do your due diligence or else you risk it getting stolen or a team fight not starting
Arrow.
on terms. And
stunned up a little. That was a Jensen stun with the QE.
And also Sneaky did decide to go for that IE, so he's going for the more aggressive option.
It'll make sure he can punch through the front line really quickly. Rainover and Adrian will be short work under Sneaky's bow.
Especially Adrian with no armor built up here. He is pretty tanky because you can steal some of those stats with your ultimate, but definitely going to be making short work of him on this Ashe that's getting very, very strong. And they are to the stage where team fighting reigns supreme generally, and C9 has the setup advantage. They just need to play it very carefully. You can't give up a bad fight, but they're moving right onto Baron. They're going to start it up. Will Impact TP in?
It down. 7,000 health
Flanking
on
ward
Baron.
there for Impact.
No teleport. There it comes in. 4.5 seconds away. They'll be joining, but Huni's going to be right in the front line. He has to cancel, which means C9 knows they've got a 5v4 here. They've got time. Huni is running as fast as he can, but he's only so quick on this Lissandra. Arrow going to be back up for Sneaky here. Can they find the re-engage? Adrian and Rainover in the front line. Weaver's Wall and C9 make the right play to get out before they were picked off and isolated. Huni going to be here now. It's part of the team. He's ready to go with this one.
Well, Huni's actually shoving up mid, so there's pressure and they have priority here that they might get a turret. But look at this backside.
Sneaky's a little bit separated from the team. They need to be together as a squad here. Meteo's threatening the engage.
Huni.
A bit scattered. Huni going to self-ult to not die, but the Ashe Arrow, ooh, timed well enough to hit Adrian. Meteos isolated on the left-hand side, running away, rooted up. So far, so good for Immortals, running, but now it's turning bad. Jensen's on the dive, turns it back around, almost gets picked off. Meteos staying alive. Adrian low, Impact can't quite kill him. Heals a little bit up. C9 low on health, gets the stun on Pobelter. The trade damage comes in, but it's not enough. It's C9 picking up everybody. 3 kills already. Only 2 left alive, and none of them have smite. This could be a C9 Baron.
And C9 turned immediately onto that Baron. Beautiful play there. They turn it around. They engage onto Huni, who was too far forward.
Yeah, and then Sneaky untouched there. Jhin ulti coming out. They need to be careful about this. Do not give that away.
They're okay. They get a safe recall as well. No one taking enough damage to die. And they get to reset the map.
Immortals just could not get to Sneaky. Meteos bought so much time delaying the backside while Huni is getting picked on. And look at this, Huni very far up. He gets caught out, and they're going to jump right onto him, forcing out that self ulti. He's in so much trouble right off the bat, and then the arrow just barely missed time. But Zoni is down, self-ult down. Look at Meteos, buying a lot of time on the other side. He's got Sneaky too. Is completely untouched. They cannot touch this Ashe, who's doing so much damage.
Especially since you open up onto the Sandra, who is your tool to get to that 80 carry in the first place. It gives you that initial chance to blow him up. But then Meteos shows no fear, comes in, ultis Pobelter into the team, and that's what he needed to do, put himself at risk to get rid of that damage dealer.
It's also critical that Sneaky did not even have to blow a summoner in that fight. He's picked up his last Whisperer, going to be shedding through these tanks even faster. The pressure is building here for Immortals. C9 has the Baron buff, Impact in the bot lane, looking to push forward. Huni trying to creep in on the side, perhaps going for a flank.
Cloud9 have all the tools they need to shut down Immortals in the semifinals yet again here. The 5th game, it came down to the final one. Either way, we're gonna have a team in the finals off of this game. It's 2-2 so far, the decider, but it is C9 who have almost decided it for themselves. 14-5 in kills. They've got everything they need to make this one end. Guardian Angels up on their 2 big tanks. Impact splitting the bot lane with a Baron buff, making it even easier. The reinforcements come to make sure this siege happens, and another turret is now picked up. 5 the scoreline here. Reignover barely escapes with his life, has to tunnel away on this Rek'Sai.
Was the Ashe arrow used there as well? So.
And the Gragas ult.
And that's the weak wall separating. Immortals need something big, but look how little damage they actually deal. It just doesn't matter. For 5 seconds, they're stuck and nothing actually happens. Huni splitting in the top lane, trying to get something back. He will knock down an inhibitor turret, and Impact will recall to defend that, but it is a TP deficit for C9. Huni can join, Impact cannot, unless he ults literally right now, and of course he won't.
And C9 have to back off. The Elder Dragon is available, but it's actually Immortals that crack the base first here in this critical Game 5.
And they have priority. Immortals have priority. Impact's top lane, but teleport still down for 30 seconds or so. This could be a 5v4 if Immortals plays it right. Huni's running to get to the back line, but they're not kind of going in for the engage, even though most of C9's ultis are down. And we just walk through with wave clear.
Yeah. Arrow back up now. All of the ultimates for Cloud9 back online. And they've all regrouped. The inhibitor wasn't taken, so there's no pressure on that top side. And Impact is also about to have his teleport, so he starts walking back up.
1 second, and the teleport is there. So that play is an option, and Huni can maybe react to top lane as Impact shoving that one in. Impact gonna recall so we can home guard teleport back in. Elder Dragon.
This is warded out. Immortals knows. Do they make the call? Impact is ready to TP. TP coming in from far.
Here we go. This is going to be the battle. The stun and a Reignover are going to lose a lot of health. They can eat him up. Impact in the front line. Gets ulted, but he just... Oh, he goes back to the base. It's a 5v4. Can Immortals even take the fight, though? They're running out of health. Adrian stunned up yet again. Plenty of damage on him. And it's not going to be any more picked up. Huni doesn't take the shot in.
Impact way too deep on that TP. It was a 1v4, 1v5 type situation. They turn on him, and now the TP advantage goes back to Huni. If Immortals can stall this out, they can send him into the split push duty.
Immortals have to play it smart. Reignover was able to heal and then ult right back into the map, and they realize, hey, we've forced C9 out. They've run away over our wards, and map control is ceded back to Immortals, who still sitting 6,000 gold down. It's not easy. But they've been able to trade tit for tat for the last few minutes despite this deficit, despite the gold deficit, despite the compositional deficit this late into the game, 41 minutes in.
And this deficit is mostly 80 carry. Top laners are pretty even, mid laners are pretty even. It's just that Wild Turtle being behind Sneaky by a decent amount now.
Okay, and change.
But Wild Turtle is crucial because you want to build MR against this team, but he's their physical damage.
C9, they have the arrow ready. If we see Huni show top, they have to back off or they have to hard engage, and this is where these tough choices do come in. And Impact is grouped with the team. They see Huni top lane now. Do they back to respond, or they commit to this?
Looks like they're running backwards for
now. They're going to
now.
Elder, perhaps.
They're going to go and make an objective trade for a chance.
Oh boy, if Impact backs to actually answer this against Huni, and they figure it out. Looks like they have no knowledge that happened, though.
And look at this TP ward that's set up very nicely. Would be in there for a flank from Huni if they decide to go for this. They see C9 on the ward, and Huni may make this play. That ward is sitting above them.
Over on the ridge, and Impact is going to walk top lane. He'll be seen by the minions in a few seconds.
He can't afford to show top. He needs to come back to the team.
And you can see, yeah, he dodges around through the fog of war to not make it known.
Arrow hit Adrian.
Adrian's fine. The support Trundle is not the primary target. He's got shields, he's got an ultimate. He's not going to be killed off easily. Let's see what else can happen here in this one. Once again, C9 posturing for Baron, but guess what? Rift Scuttle was taken by Rainover, so it's in vision. They can't clear the way until it times out, and that takes over a minute. Huni even gets this one over Baron, and sadly for them, it's not really going to time properly with Baron respawning, but at least lets them know if they're setting up wards for it. Jensen gets a scarce few seconds to wave through in the bot lane, but he can't stay for long. There's so much threat with Weaver's Wall available with Curtain Call up. Both these teams can engage from across the map.
They're pinging onto Huni. They want to go with the Tom Kench ulti. They do have that available. Impact's going to chase after him. They decide not to.
Oh, he calls him on it.
Slow, looking for a little bit more, but the reinforcements have arrived, and Huni will get to walk back toward his team. This Lysandra 1, 4, and 3. Not the best scoreline, but his team is losing in general, so can't be too mad about that.
Big part of C9 right now is Smoothie and Sneaky.
Meteos is coming from behind. Full belt is up.
And Impact found Huni again. Adrian here to help. They're jumping over the wall, trying to stop Impact. Meteos shoved back. And Immortals are able to run away, licking their wounds. 30 seconds on Baron.
They ping onto the Elder Dragon, though. They want to try to move over to that side. Will they be able to actually have enough time to do so? I'm not sure. Impact almost has his TP back, though.
Still a very tight game. 6,000 and change. The lead still.
Curtain call on a sneak.
Call. Sneaky.
And teleport from Huni.
Hit once. Dodges the third shot, and the final one tanked up.
Huni's
There's
by
the
himself,
teleport flank. Stuns
They got a
Pole Belter, but he gets stopped up by the wall. The assassination still going to come through. 5 versus 4 in favor of Cloud9.
Huni's trying to cut the wave, and C9 is just going to move towards Baron.
It means Baron, but not the game. 50 seconds on Pole Belter. I don't think Immortals get to fight for this at all. It's too risky. I think you lose the game in a team fight here, but they're gonna try.
A lot of AoE with this Lysandra. Can Huni come up big? They need him to now.
1,000 health on Baron Nashor. C9's going to peel. And they will not take the smite fight. They respect Rainover too much. Baron's still dealing damage to Meteos and Smoothie.
Yeah, there's not enough damage here to actually
Impact
get
looking
through
for
the
Huni.
DAs.
They're going for the kills instead. They know you can't fight this 5v5. There's only 4 alive. And Huni self-ults to buy some time. But guess what? There's Guardian Angels. He flashes over the wall. Can't get the kills. Jukes back over. But here comes Jensen, and Huni will die for this. There's no chance to get away. That's 2 consecutive kills now picked up. And Smoothie looks for Rainover, who flashes away and stays alive. Meteos still not losing his Guardian Angel. Even the low health tanks aren't actually dying for Cloud9.
And Meteos, after giving up first blood, has 7 straight kills on a godlike streak in this critical game number 5.
Did not let the pressure get to him. The guy came out of retirement, was streaming, and look at this. The arrow onto Pole Belter, arrow from Sneaky into the Achilles heel of Immortals. The one place, and he misses at that time.
This time Sneaky's able to flash. Seismic Shove does not set up the target, and he's just out of range.
Oh,
The last one nearly kills him off.
Sneaky!
What it'll do him? He might still burn down. It's
TP
close.
from behind.
Sneaky's very, very low. Here's the teleport. Impact on the Wild Turtle, and it's going to be close. Meteos loses Guardian Angel. Impact able to be focused on. Does not yet get the shield. Finally jumps in, looks for Turtle. Oath back for some health, but he's still a little bit isolated. Bit more damage. Now in a Pole Belter, and Jensen gets the damage. The Seismic Shove does not pick up any kills, and Smoothie takes his teammate back out of the jungle. Once again, 5v4. Sneaky is healing, and he will run back across the map.
A full minute death timer for Pole Belter, so they have time to heal, regroup, and push towards the Baron or the Elder, wherever they want to go. Massive wave building in the bot lane that Immortals will have to answer, and they have no TP.
And they just used the Rek'Sai ultimate as well. That would have been how they cleared out. He's so concerned with the Scuttle Crab, but Jensen is there. Yoink!
That's going to be more.
You have to be careful. Arrow is available. They're going straight for the Baron, and the bot lane will not be answered.
Don't have the time to get it there, and C9 are looking for the jugular right now.
No mid laner. Immortals
Huni on the
4v5.
side.
Huni looking once again. No flash up, no chance.
Rainover's spot.
That's picked up. Rainover now isolated. Curtain Call comes across, just gets stunned up. They don't find a whole lot to do, and that is Rainover going down. 5v3, Pole Belter respawning. Cloud9 with a lot of control.
Are you kidding me? Immortals are right on the brink of history repeating itself, and the Elder Dragon is up. Huni is trying to go for that top inhibitor.
Yeah, Huni's trying to go for the trade, but this is a massive wave here. Pole Belter doing a good job to clear it out, as C9 is pressing. They want blood.
Couple hits will do it. That's going to be an inhibitor turret going down. Huni can do what he can to trade the objective, but he's still going to have to defend soon because Cloud9 are 5v3 pushing the base, and that's going to be middle inhibitor opened and shut. It's gone. 25 seconds on Rainover. C9 walks down to the bottom lane. It's going to be 2 inhibitors for 1 here, and they are staying.
Look for the game.
20 seconds on Rainover. 5v4. Snipe on a sneaky. Meteor shoved in, but he's tanky enough to be fine. That's another turret down. Onto the final Nexus turret itself. Here comes the engage. They're trying to make it happen. A shotgun and a Huni. Impact staying alive. The Nexus now opened up as Cloud9 look for their 5th final, and they're going as a wonderful team to Canada.
Cloud9's 5th appearance in the finals, but the first for Jensen and the first for Smoothie, who did mad work this game.
Smoothie gets to return home, the Canadian going back to Toronto for the NA LCS Summer Finals.
Beautiful series. Cloud9 defying expectations.
People were saying they're getting better.
Together. They are certainly getting better. Impact, phenomenal. 5-1 and 10 on the Echo. Pulled a ban, played it a couple of times. The composure held by these players. And Immortals played them close, to be fair. But C9 was absolutely the better team today.
This game was right down to the wire, but has to feel so bad for the Immortals players. 2 of the most dominant regular season splits in NALCS history, back-to-back, and eliminated once again, pulling up short and knocked out of the semifinals here, and just devastating for these 5 guys who worked so hard for it.
And it becomes even harder for them to qualify for Worlds off of points.
Yeah, difficult road ahead, absolutely. Of course, Cloud9 looking to make it to their 3rd. And actually, at this point, we will for sure have our first 3-time North American LCS. Actually, TSM has 3, I'm silly. But we will have maybe a 3 or 4-time winner here in North America. Cloud9 or CLG could get their 3rd TSM.
TSM don't have a banner for it.
Yeah, we took down the Spring Split 2013 banner, so I got confused looking backwards. But of course, a heartbreaker for Immortals.
And this has to be devastating because that top lane as well. Impact played to the win condition every single time. The pressure he put onto Wild Turtle in this game, the Gangplank performances that he had, the Gnar performances, Impact was on point today.
I mean, #1 damage on his team as a tank Echo.
I would hate to be against him.
Is very impressive. This guy did it all for Cloud9. He gets banned. They blind pick his champions a lot of the games. They're putting him in whatever matchup. It doesn't seem to matter. He just seems to deliver.
Yeah. And it's incredible how much Impact has done, because for a while it looked like he was the weak link. He had blamed himself earlier on in the split, saying, I am the reason that we are losing. I am the reason that we're not the best team right now. And he went amazingly well in the quarterfinals against Team Envy, in this semifinal, especially against Immortals, put on an absolutely monster performance. And now Cloud9 in their 5th final, looking for title #3.
And it's kind of funny when you go back and think about it, because Impact, sometimes he would die in lane swaps. He'd be left out to dry. And then Dove, people were saying that this patch wasn't really going to favor Cloud9 because Impact seemed like a weak link. But he seems to be showing up. He seems to play the one-on-ones, get solo kills, outplayed ganks in 2-on-1. He is buying his team so much. And honestly, it looks like, I said Season 3 Impact is back. He looks better than that in this series.
The fact that he can take this much pressure, still perform, unlocks Meteos to really do so much work on other sides of the map, to get deep vision, to be counter-jungling. He always has pressure. He's just this rock from the top lane, and you don't even need to help him. Feels pretty good as a jungler.
And they brought him onto the squad to do exactly that, and he wasn't meeting expectations at first, but if he continues to perform like this, then we might be looking at another best top laner.
I mean, we're looking at what teams are even going to Worlds, and the thought initially was like, yeah, TSM Immortals look great, and CLG may be on the road up here, but Cloud9 now in that final, looking to be one of those 3 teams after all. What a great showing by them. A beautiful best of 5. Absolutely love that I got to be a part of it. But now we're going to go stage side, where Kobe has Cloud9's winning jungler standing by for post-game conversation.
That's right, Meteos. I have you here going to the finals now. How does it feel to be headed to Toronto after that intense 5-game series?
Well, I think we're going to Toronto either way. But it feels a lot better to be in the finals. Yeah, it feels great.
I have to say, the whole team, but specifically you as well, have had a lot of improvement over this split. What has been like the biggest factor for you personally, coming back and now seeing this success that you're having again?
Well, I think that before this split, I had trouble recognizing things that I was doing wrong. I would make mistakes and not necessarily realize I was making them, but this split, I was able to take a step back, come in with sort of a fresh look at the game, and really try to work on the areas that I need to work on.
It looked like you put that into practice that last game as well after your first invade failed on Reignover. What was the communication like right after that? Because you immediately went back to the Wraith camp and stole them right the second time.
Yeah, I would say the whole series, I wasn't really playing well. I think my team carried me pretty hard. Reignover outperformed me, but in the last game, I was like, okay, this is the one that counts. There's the long pause. It was super hard, but I was like, nah, I don't want to lose. I'm going to win. So then when that invade failed, I was pretty sad. I sort of like face bombed. But then I was like, I really don't want to lose, so just kept trying to stay focused and do my best, and it worked out.
Let's try again. One guy, though, that did carry you, as you're talking about your team doing really well, was Impact. He had an amazing game. And there's been about a lot of talk. At the beginning of the split, what was communication like with Impact, and then what is it like now? Because it looks like there's a lot more coordination with him and just a lot of improvement all around.
I think Impact's just a beast. I don't really see him lose lane ever. And he's put in bad situations a lot, and he always comes out ahead. So Impact's extremely good. As far as his communication, obviously English isn't his first language, but we can understand each other fairly well. We never really have issues. There's been some stuff here and there, but overall I think it's pretty good.
All right. Well, good luck heading to Toronto as one of the final teams. We are going to send it over to the analyst desk now for a little bit of analysis.
A little bit of analysis is
Just
coming
a
your
little
way,
bit.
Kobe. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly that. But congratulations to Cloud9, who pull out the 5-game series, 3-2 victory over Immortals. That's a crushing defeat for them to have that repeat semifinals loss. But ultimately, Mark, you also reign supreme here on the desk, having the correct prediction for Cloud9 to win this series.
Yeah, I had it right. Crumbs, who did you have again? I forget.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about who was going to vote the entire time. I was like,
No, you were wrong.
You were wrong.
You said
Simple.
Immortals. I got it.
There it is. All right, well then let's break this series down, because ultimately a fantastic victory for Cloud9 in what was a very exciting 5th game too, right? It wasn't one of those series where it comes down to the wire and then someone smashes somebody in that 5th game. It was very back and forth. Both teams had opportunities to get leads and come out on top. But at the end of the day, Cloud9 does it. And very much what you were talking about, the Syndra is like the one thing you were scared of for Jensen. He does lock it in this time around.
The one thing I want to commend for Cloud9 is the intentional delaying of the dragon. They're like, okay, dragon's going to take forever. We don't want to deal with Immortals getting an early dragon. First one's Ocean. Let's take it at 20 minutes. Let's make sure that all the dragons are delayed. And surely enough, next dragon is an Infernal. So I like the adaptation, if you will.
We talked about the scariness of the RNG of the Dragons for Cloud9 in this game specifically. They were aided in that, being able to kind of stave off the aggression around the Dragon for quite some time, and ultimately then get to the point where they could have the proactive moves around that global objective.
I think the big thing is that one dive that Immortals sent bot lane, that really big play, the biggest probably play of the game, because it just went so wrong. They got picked off all over the place, and that is really, to me, an issue when you pick this like global dive bot lane comp and then like you try it and someone's going on Smoothie, someone's going on Impact, and it was basically a mess.
And the thing is, that's kind of the play that we addressed to be the focal point for Immortals during this game, and they just executed on it so late. That play should not have come at that time. It should have been way ahead of time. As soon as you hit level 6, everybody to the bot lane, make it happen. But unfortunately, they pull the trigger when Cloud9 has a lot of time to respond to it. They're already aware of the situation. They have TPs ready. The proper preparations aren't checked, and because the coordination isn't there, they also split up from the fight, making it so horrendous that it turns into a Baron.
An aggressive move, but didn't do the homework to make sure that it would be executed on 100%. Now, before we continue here on the desk, Kobe has another interview prepped, this time with Wild Turtle, so let's hand it off.
That's right. I am here with Wild Turtle. Now, you guys can still qualify for Worlds through either second place points or by working through the gauntlet, and you're still going to play in Toronto. So how is the team going to refocus kind of after this? Because there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we're just going to think about the future right now. Like, we're pretty crushed by the loss. Like, we didn't expect to lose here, and I think Cloud9 just played the better game today, and we just didn't play as well as we should have. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's just really sad that we lost here.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Obviously not the outcome you wanted, but also about, the changes with the patch. How do you feel about the first turret gold and how it's really affected bottom lane?
I think it's made the game a little bit more interesting, and like the first turret is worth a lot more gold, so it means like people are gonna have to contest a lot more and gonna play through bottom a lot more, and I think it's really fun to play right now.
All right, well, good luck moving forward, Turtle. Do you have anything you want to say to your fans and to all the citizens of Toronto that you're about to go visit?
All right, I'll see you guys in Toronto, but I'm not playing for first, unfortunately.
All right, well, thank you once again, and we're going to send it back to the analysis.
Thank you very much, Kobe, one last time. Getting to hear from Wild Turtle on the Immortals loss. I know it's a tough one, but first of all, a lot of respect to him for taking the time to talk to us after a stinging loss like that. Kobe did mention the fact that still very much alive when it comes to that race for Worlds seeding. So it's not as though this spells the end of Immortals' journey. And I guess I'll use this opportunity to let's talk about Immortals before we refocus on Cloud9 and what we would like to see out of Immortals as they do make that push for maybe the 2nd or 3rd seed for North America at Worlds.
I think a problem with Immortals so far is that since they're so bloody, that kind of is an instinctual way of playing the game where you just kind of get a feeling for it and you just keep going for all these sorts of kills and skirmishes that happen around the map. But it seems that they're struggling with sticking to a game plan. When it comes down to here's a composition, here's what you have to do with the composition exactly, here are your power spikes, your windows of opportunity that are built into the comps, not just happen because you killed your solo laner, that they don't seem to know exactly how to pull these off. So I think that what they need is just a little bit more composure and pre-game planning, that they can have an outline for their games as opposed to just go in there and rough it out.
I would definitely agree with that. I think it's tough to be like, oh, they play so fast all the time, and then you reach playoffs and people just start playing slower. They don't make the same mistakes. The prep is way more intense in terms of like what you're expecting. Right. And just your overall mindset to the game is very different. And I think that can hurt teams that capitalize on mistakes as well as Immortals does versus, I don't want to speak too soon, but TSM in the regular season often had these like man advantages that they created through pressure and rotations versus man advantages through just solo kills and things like that. So I think moving forward, they have to get more along the lines of having a really distinct game plan and following that versus winning some fights.
And I think it kind of showed itself, particularly here in Game 5, that it seems as though a lot of Immortals' game plan, for example, is that when things aren't going their way, it becomes very much throw everyone into all 3 lanes, push the, the reason why they have so much minion pressure all the time is because they're always in the side lanes pushing, but it feels like that seems to be now maybe one of their only tactics in terms of spreading out the map and actually creating those 2v2s, 3v3s, and whatnot.
To be fair, I think Cloud9 did not manage the waves very well throughout the entire series. They usually lacked the actual pressure first, even though they had winning matchups. But as you mentioned, Immortals was there to the waves first. They did almost always have 3 people farming a lot of times, and that's why they're able to keep up the pressure and kind of control the tempo regardless of the gold differential. I mean, we saw like 7K behind, and they're still able to defend the Baron, which should not happen at that point. But, I mean, the cohesion that is necessary for not just to have pressure, but to look for an actual plan to, hey, we're 7K down, but we have to take this fight right now. How are we going to pull it off? We see TPs in odd places. We don't see the coordination that's necessary to attack from multiple angles at a time. And just communication and kind of, I guess, being in the position where you're behind is not something that they're very much used to. So this should be a good thing for them.
And I think another thing, too, is potentially their drafts. I think they're always a team that has been a little loose on the drafts where they get away with some things that they really shouldn't be able to. And especially in their prep, when we heard last split that they played like 1 million games of Lucian top and they didn't really branch out a ton in preparation. I wonder, I don't want to say this is like the truth and what happened, but they seem to get crushed with that Rumble ban. As soon as that Rumble ban came through, Huni really seemed to not have an impact until he got on his GP game. And then after that, once again, the other champions didn't seem to be working that well. Lissandra basically just got bullied by Impact for a large portion of that game. Sure, he had some pressure at different points, but he didn't get anything done that was very notable. And on the other hand, like Impact was basically soloing out Wild Turtle every fight and drawing a ton of focus.
Well, they've got a week to kind of shore up those weaknesses and play in that 3rd, 4th matchup. Of course, we don't know who they'll be playing yet, as TSM and CLG have to play tomorrow. I now want to refocus on C9. While Immortals did have the wave control, for example, they did not have control of the fights. And we saw that very early, well, not very early on. We saw that kind of through the mid-game, 23 minutes into the game, 4-0 for Cloud9 here near the Drake. Starting in the blue, jungle in the bot lane, moving towards the Drake.
And Cloud9 this entire game has had such good vision in the bot side, and this is just so forced. You're immediately tanking turret aggro, and they're not coordinated because you see Lissandra's going to TP down here, but she's going to go onto Meteos instead, where the focus should be everybody on Smoothie, and they just don't go for the actual right target, and you have Impact in the backline because Wild Turtle can't deal with this. You cannot fight. Jhin cannot deal with Echo pretty much any stage of the game, and he just does such a wonderful job of making sure that the backlane is zoned out. And if you're any character and you soloed out the mid laner and AD carry, you pretty much did your job phenomenally.
Right, I think this was what we were talking about as like the kind of back-breaking play where it was pretty telegraphed. They were already in movement, C9 to catch it, and then once it started, Immortals was all over the place where they're kind of chasing Smoothie, they're not peeling back for Turtle, he's getting caught off on the side. It was just kind of a disaster of a play.
Right, but it is one of those plays that maybe 8, 9 out of 10 times for Immortals will be successful. Most of the time because they're just doing it so quickly and before C9 can, or the opposing team can get into position. Here, though, C9 is prepared for it. As you mentioned, it was telegraphed. Smoothie's in position to keep Sneaky safe. The focus isn't there from Immortals. Ultimately, a one fight for C9. They're going to pick Dragons after that and push their lead forward.
See, one of the things I would have liked to see that is a bit of a tougher play to make, and we were talking about it on the desk earlier, is since you have the Rek'Sai and you have the Lissandra, you have such a good way of TPing down to the bot side of the map. You can force something in the top side, make sure that Cloud9 reacts, and immediately use your globals, go bottom, force a play down there, and you have an easy numbers advantage without the chance of actually any counterplay. And that's an easy way of breaking a kind of the defense that Cloud9 had mounted because they did a really good job of making sure that the entire river is warded. I mean, at some point, I think they had like seven wards in the bot lane.
and a scuttle crab.
Literally river, just to make sure that nobody's going down there.
Right.
So they were very aware that that was the game plan from Immortals, and maybe Immortals wasn't aware that that was their own plan.
Yeah, one can only assume, right? All right, but that brings us to this 29-minute replay that we have. 4 for 1 for Cloud9 in the top lane. Another big one. This was once again off of Immortals' aggression here, looking for the fight, but Cloud9 will win it.
You see Smoothie very aware of what his job is. He's desperate to get over to one of his carries. He's able to flash onto Sneaky, spit him back out. And then this is what we're talking about where the backline of C9 is relatively healthy while Impact is just soloing out Immortals backline. And so
Turtle, man, is just, he's got no options.
There's no one peeling for him. It's just an echo on your face and no one cares. I mean, they were able to get the Syndra, but the thing about Syndra, she's almost always willing to trade her damage right back, and because the no self-ult from Huni, I think he dropped his combo on him, and then the one that he does ult in Sneaky just gets pulled away, and it was just another fight where they didn't seem to have like everything layer properly. Instead of a self-ult from Huni to stall out that back line and then get more combos out.
You know, the crazy thing is if they had just focused Impact, they probably would have been able to just trade away a kill and slowly crawl back into the game. Constantly killing the guy that's solo diving in your backline 1v3 is a pretty easy target when you have so much TC to layer between Liz, Jhin, and Rek'Sai.
All right, well, now it's time to crown the North American LCS Player of the Series. And after that last game, Irene said Impact looked better today than during his Season 3 championship run. Now, the honor is going to belong to him. We can debate that statement, but he is picking up Player of the Series honors here. It's important to note, though, that, at times throughout this series, all of the players on C9 did step up in ways, but Impact here in the games that they won definitely shined.
And he got so many advantages on his own in the top lane. Whether it was a winning matchup or a losing matchup, absorbing pressure, creating advantages on his own, getting TP advantages, getting just so much on the map. While his TP plays weren't really the best, the fact that he was able to just put so much pressure on the map and kind of distract Immortals and throw them off their game, because usually they just say, all right, snowball top, win the game. Okay, you can't snowball onto this guy.
Well, I think the thing is like the way that Huni Rainover generally worked was through snowballing a topside matchup or something. The fact that they never really got that going throughout this entire series was a big problem, I think, because that's just kind of how they're used to Huni having pressure and being able to do whatever he wants. And the one Riven game where that happened, it's just not a great pick for the comp overall. So he wasn't able to translate the Riven solo lead into a team setting. So I think the fact that Impact could deal with that much focus and pressure for the entire series was kind of what set his whole team up to win.
Right. The other things that I love about his play in this series specifically is the fact that he's won across 3 champions, right? So he won with 3 unique champions, which bodes well moving forward, as well as the fact that 2 of those champions he sustained losses on before winning, which means that as a player, he is very comfortable having a bad game and saying just as quickly, I'm okay with playing. We had questions around the Echo performance and picking it again when Shen, for example, was on the table. But he says, nope, it was a bad game. I have a mastery of this champion. I'm willing to play it pulls it out and has his best KDA in that 5th game. So I think that is definitely a big thing for Cloud9 looking ahead, to know that he can play across multiple styles of champions and play them well.
Right, and I think it's important to point out this really was kind of a team victory. Multiple different players had their kind of bright moments. Smoothie was someone I think I didn't see like a major mistake from almost the whole series, so he was consistently doing exactly what his team needed him to do. Jensen had some big games.
Miki's arrows that final game were really setting up a lot of plays, particularly picking around the map that just create those small advantages that, you know, snowball the lead maybe a little bit extra of a 800 gold every arrow, and that adds up.
And Meteos, he dealt with pressure very well. We talked about in game 1, 7 visits into his jungle by Immortals in the first few minutes, and yet he's the one who gets first blood. So fantastic play out of him. You mentioned Smoothie just being ultra consistent. It's hard to shine as a support, particularly right now in this meta, and there he was time and time again, keeping his carry safe. Jensen, I'd say of all the players, was the one that most obviously had good and bad games, right? We saw, of course, good play on the Syndra, but some struggling on the LeBlanc, for example. But all in all, I think a huge team victory for Cloud9 here. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the updated playoff bracket. Now, 6 teams entered the playoffs. Now, only 3 remain. Cloud9 defeated Team Envy to move on to the semis and is now headed to the finals after besting our 2nd seed in Immortals. Of course, alive on the other side of the bracket is TSM and Counterlogic Gaming, who face off tomorrow in our 2nd semifinal series. The next saga in the TSM and CLG rivalry continues, with Doublelift and Aphromoo going head-to-head in order to lead their respective squads to another finals appearance. Let's talk about this matchup, gentlemen. It's always exciting to see these 2 teams go up against each other, but it's a rematch of our spring finals as well as our summer finals. And here we have CLG, you know, making a run, trying to three-peat here against our #1 seeded TSM.
I am always excited for El Clásico. That is such a great game to see, because you know that these teams take each other very seriously. There's legacies behind each other. There's so much on the line for each of these teams to actually prove whatever they're doing in this split, where the TSM is just saying, we are the best team in that North America has ever had. CLG just saying, we actually know how to bounce back.
I think it's very interesting because it does seem to be such like a David versus Goliath kind of thing, where you look at TSM and you're like, all their players are so good in lane. It's like only standard lanes for the first 5 minutes, basically. They obviously have great team movement, and then you're looking and saying, like, where exactly does CLG have?
Where do they win this?
Yeah, where's their advantage? And you would say, like, oh, it's in teamwork.
CLG has ingredient X.
Yeah. You're like, maybe coaching, like Tony Zixel is generally considered really good, and it's such a tough match to look at. But that's why I think it's interesting, because CLG kind of had this history of winning through teamwork.
Yeah, and maybe there is a bit of an unknown factor, but for some reason or another, CLG has gotten the better of TSM in the last 2 LCS finals. So when you arrive at a best-of-5 series here in the playoffs, especially given the kind of that upswing of CLG, although it might be positioned as a David and Goliath story, there's a piece of me that wants to say this might be one of the closest series we've ever seen still.
Well, one of the other things that I think is important to look at for maybe TSM's dominance is the fact that towards the end of the regular split, they did struggle with the meta changing a bit. And they had a lot of games that there were kind of a lot of oopsies. They were lost to P1, none sure what the meta stood at. And once again, even right now, we're seeing teams all across the globe trying to figure out the meta. Nobody has really found the exact way. There's so many picks all over the world that are valued here but not valued over there, that I think that once again, we're going to see a matchup where 2 teams just say, okay, maybe our style is better than yours. And that amount of research is going to be enough to catapult somebody to victory.
Very much so. CLG, TSM, always a hype match. We don't have to do too much talking about it. That's going to do it for us, but stick around, because in just 5 minutes, Facebook Live returns featuring a Q&A with Pastry Time, Golden Glue, and Alex each. So head over to facebook.com/LulEsports with your questions about life, league, and the mid lane. Now for myself, Mark, Crumbs, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I've been waiting all week for the semifinals to start, and finally they're here.
The teams are ready to go, the players are ready to watch it, and here we go, game 1 of the semifinals. Not a chain slow yet, but there's the collapse, there's the first blood, and Cloud9 get the first kill of the semifinals. Ooh, Cocoon lands on Meteos. That's gonna be dead Rek'Sai. Jensen's gonna be next.
Good job, guys. Good job. Can you go Nash? Can you go Nash? Let's go Nash, guys. Let's go Nash, no?
3 for 0. What a team play for Immortals.
Chill. Fight slowly. We're gonna fight, okay?
There, the dive back in. Smoothie gonna run down. Meteos gonna be next up. It's a 5v2. Jensen gonna be attacked.
Nice, guys. Good job. Let's do it. Let's go.
Soon I'll be beating C9 on the Summoner's Rift.
Holy, you're actually hella good at.
Oh, go Nash. Go. Get it.
Oh my god.
I'm here. No, it's fine. Go mid.
The problem is their health bars are low.
Sivir ulti
Here's the
pop.
flag. The crit comes in for Turtle. The trade kill. I don't think it even matters. The next is South now under fire, running out of health, and there's no chance to defend it. Cloud9 gets the win, and they tie the series.
What was Hootie thinking there?
And lands 1 auto, lands 2 autos, 1 more will kill him, gets the boomerang. A beautiful solo kill for Impact.
Are you kidding me, this guy? What an incredible performance from C9.
I'm
hitting Elise.
Taliyah's low. You guys win that.
Go Elise.
Listen, jump in. We got it. Nice.
Good counterplay comes out from Immortals, and this is not going to be a good fight for Cloud9. And Immortals just might get vindication for last split as they look to make their first finals.
Taliyah flashed in.
Nice.
Yo, look list.
I'm getting.
Lysandra.
I'm ulting behind. Trundle. Yeah, nice.
Impact can't quite kill him. Heals a little bit up. C9 low on health.
He's stunned. Nice. Exhausted.
Taliyah.
Let's if you kill it.
Nice.
I got it.
Cloud9 look for their 5th final, and they're going as a wonderful team.